let's talk about LibertyFest. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Now, I've been a bit distracted the last week. I'd like to introduce you all to Odelia Violet Heiser. Can you... there we go. Oh. She was born on Monday, safe and well, without any issues. Hey? So I decided she would join me on this episode to free her up. You can see, notice how she's bobbing her head. She's trying to find a booby, so she's hungry, so she'll look for mummy. We'll get mummy soon. Okay, you just go to sleep. So, I went to LibertyFest on the weekend before Odelia was born, and I thought I'd discuss just my comments about some of the speakers and what I took away from it. Sorry if I'm going to be bobbing side to side. You're going to be learning all the tricks of trying to settle a baby. Although it's pretty easy when they're about a week old. You know, the first few weeks they sleep like anything, and it really lulls you into a sense of, oh, these aren't so hard. These little creatures, they're fine. They just sleep all the time. You'll get surprised. So, I've never been to one of these conferences before, and it was a couple hundred people at a hotel in Brisbane at Ryan's on the Park. Now, they had it was 2 days of speaking, and it opened with Andrew Cooper, the director of LibertyWorks, saying that taxation is theft. And it was you'd say, a very strong libertarian event. A large number of libertarian people were attending. The night before, I went to the drinks. They've got a drinks event there as well, and one of my subscribers turned up and shared a beer, and he worked the room and chatted to a whole lot of people too. Shout out to your frog. And it was interesting meeting a variety of people that were there. But a few standout things from the conference. I've never been to a politically motivated conference before. I've gone to lots of other ones, particularly architectural ones. And architects can be very left-leaning, particularly the employees. Until you get battered around by having staff and having to deal with the government as a business owner, you know, a lot of architects are pretty left. That all changes once they run a business, to be honest. Hey, you okay? And I found that there was quite a mix of people, and you could happily discuss politics or religion or anything with most people. And one of the things I really enjoyed from the whole conference was simply chatting with people over coffee or between speeches, or even wagging speeches when you get so engrossed in a conversation with someone, you know, missed the entire talk. But you didn't mind, because you were networking, meeting people, and having nice chats. And it was good. It was good. Antifa threatened to, well, disrupt the conference with Bettina Arndt's talk. They rang up and threatened the hotel. But on this Saturday, there was actually a rally at the front of Parliament House to criticise safe schools, and Antifa turned up. Now, I was going for lunch. Oh, she's almost asleep. I was going for lunch, and these Antifa people, we didn't know they were Antifa, were walking past and yelling out abuse at the top of their lungs, and they screamed into the ears of some passerbys. By accident, I hope. I should have taken a photograph of them, because they were all covered and yelling abuse up the street, and no one could identify them. Oh, well, live and learn, live and learn. So if you see what in the past you'd think would just be a crazy nutcase, you know, someone either on drugs or drunk or a bum, they could potentially be an Antifa person going onto a protest. So just, you know, take a photograph of them if they're going to commit acts of violence in the future. So there are a few speakers that I thought stood out or really gave me messages to take away. And the first one, the opening speech, was trigger warnings and how not to enrage your audience and win influence. And this was by Dr. Brendan Markey Towler. Now, his talk was essentially looking at the emotional, the emotional impact that people can have, or the emotional response people have when you're in an argument with them. So if you're giving, say if you're putting an argument and you're saying something that just fundamentally disgusts them to such a point that their reptilian reflex will kick in, and they won't be able to they won't actually be able to hear anything you can say. Now, I thought that was quite interesting, because that aligns with a lot of what's happening over, with regards to Trump. And so many people just see him as the devil incarnate, or literally Hitler, and they're going crazy. This whole Supreme Court judge thing in America that's been going on for the last few days, it's insane, and that's the only way this can happen, because people are functioning on emotion. And I thought that was a really interesting way to open this conference, because you've got a group of people that fundamentally believe that rational argument and discourse can win the day. And here your first speaker is showing you that sometimes it can't, because people are irrational and emotional. And I'm leaning more towards that rationality can't always win, and won't always win, because some people can't actually hear it. They'll imagine you're saying different things, or they'll imagine you're giving a strawman argument. So that was quite a good start. And I'd encourage people to look at some of Scott Adams' work, to be honest. His periscopes on the 2-movie phenomenon that he's got going, and his persuasion reading list, which is fantastic. And it really helped me understand a lot of the crazy lefties that we see everywhere. Hey, how are you? Are you okay? Okay. The next talk that stood out was that I thought was quite good was Bettina Arndt's talk. I'm just checking all the list of the speakers here, and I asked her at the end of the conference, or between events, if she had done any videos on MGTOW, because I hadn't really seen any there, and she told me that she hadn't done any, but it's a completely reasonable response for a lot of men to have these days, which I found that was quite sad, actually. But she gave quite a good speech, and hey, and I had a chance to have a chat to her. But the person who I think won the event, and this was the speaker on the second day, and this was, I think, the best talk, and with the takeaway message for me. And I'm just finding him here. This was Dr. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Professor Peter Ridd. Now, he was employed at James Cook University, and he was fired in a spectacular fashion from JCU because he was critical of the research and literature that was coming out about our Great Barrier Reef, that it was just getting destroyed with sediment. And you're thinking, who's this guy? Why should he have an opinion on it? He's probably just the nutter. He invented the equipment that was used to measure sediment on the reef. And I had to talk to him. Actually, I was having just a chat to him before the day even started on Saturday, because I'm quite new to this whole scene, and often I'll just, if someone's there, I'll go and have a chat to them to be friendly, because that's what I like about these conferences. You want to make friends. And it was interesting just hearing his perspective and what was going on. And it's complete bunk. $400 million has just been given to an organization to fight this, and there's no evidence that it's actually an issue. Everyone thinks the reef is dying off. I've seen parts of the reef bleached when I was a tourist out there, but I've learnt now that they go to those parts of the reef because it's cheaper and closer. And then people all think it's dead anyway, so they'll think it's dead. You might see a few colourful fish. So it was a pretty cheap trip. But the reef is doing really well. It's grown a significant amount, and the sediment isn't causing an issue. The reef dies, grows back. There's no scientific basis for what happened, or for the arguments for all this funding. Now, he was pretty much fired from his job. They tried to silence him. They tried to bully him. The IPA helped him defend it, which is just shocking. But what really stood out to me was one of the last lines, and I'll paraphrase here, that he said that people are calling him a hero for fighting this. And he said, well, no, he's not a hero. He's at the point in his career where... Hang on, I gotta... Shh, it's okay. Shh, 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 shh. That's a hint for you. Go shh, and that'll help him get calm down. Usually, but he's getting hungry. He's at the point in his career where it's his responsibility to take these risks. Where he's got nothing to lose. He's not a young scientist anymore. He's at the coming close to retirement, and he's achieved a fair bit. So for him, he's not risking as much as someone new. And he also mentioned, then that was a takeaway one, the fact that he phrased it in that way. That, for me, I'm holding on to that one. That's a good one to see if other people stand by that as well. Or it's a responsibility you put on or expect of senior members of our professions, which I think is lacking in a lot of people. He also mentioned about the replication crisis, where 50% of scientific research can't be replicated. Now, I haven't heard about that. I knew there was some issue with it, but I haven't really looked into it. So I think I'll turn that into a video in the near future. He also, well, upon leaving, I caught him just at the end of the dinner because he'd raised money using crowdsource funding to help fight his legal case for his unfair dismissal and all of these things. And I asked him, well, if you can raise so much money for this legal case, why couldn't you do the same thing for your scientific work? I mean, people are raising millions of dollars on Kickstarter to make a stupid water bottle. Surely you could raise millions of dollars to do research. And that's when he told me that there was a big issue with that. And one was two main issues. The first was that no one would take it seriously. If it wasn't government funded, if it wasn't funded from a neutral party like the government, no one would take that research seriously. So, they'd just say, oh, it's coming from some crazy right-wing, anti-science Kickstarter group or something. And the second was, if you were to publish work critical of a lot of these this research that's incorrect in journals and in the paper, it would be a lot of work, but it would also be a negative, because you wouldn't, it would go through the circles and would affect your opportunities to get other funding in the future. So I thought that was quite shocking and definitely something to be considered. So, he was probably my favorite speaker at the event, which was a bit of a hidden surprise for me because I hadn't really followed his story that closely. Another one, it was good to hear Daisy Cousins pretty much get into the media by saying people on the right are more attractive than people on the left. I thought that was funny. Also hearing some of our politicians, and it was Amanda Stoker, going on discussing just the issues with regards to ASIC and how some of the legislation that people are trying to push into the corporate governance of businesses. Oh, you're tired. Look at that yawn. And how social justice is trying to weave its way into the boardroom, and that was concerning. Was also MP George Christensen. Now he's a funny guy. You can see his stuff on YouTube. He's a big bloke too, and he was talking about all these taxes they want to put on food. Restricting your fat, restricting your sugar, tax. And it's just crazy the type of stuff that they have to put up with. And often when it gets to that point, it's too late. Unless you can build a good body of people in the Parliament to counteract it, you may be out of a chance. So generally, I really enjoyed the conference. There was a lot of takeaways. I met a lot of interesting people. I met people that want to work with me on the Freedom Map, look at other ways to use it. I'm going to do an update and add some of these organizations to the Freedom Map, because there's another group. You've all heard of Get Up. Get Up is a left-leaning political activist group that just hands out bullshit how to vote cards everywhere. They'll target one specific emotional issue, use that to manipulate your vote. So a bunch of, say, retirees from the Sunshine Coast have started up a conservative alternative called Rise Up. And that's just about to launch. I think it launched on the night. So that was interesting to see as a counterpoint to a lot of the rubbish that's coming out of Get Up, because it's not balanced, it's not fair, and most people won't really look into it any deeper than their emotions. So guys, little Odelia is getting tired. Thank you all very much for joining me for this special episode. We'll get back to regular schedules, or not that I'm doing schedules, but regular style of presentation next time. But all, thank you very much, and I will see you again next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.